In this case, we're solving for f. Please note that to solve for a variable means that we do not have the variable in the denominator of a fraction. So this 1 over f is not solved for f. I've got to get that out of the denominator. I want to start by clearing my fractions. Well, I have 3 different fractions with 3 different denominators. So my common denominator I can get by just multiplying them all together. My denominators are f, d sub 1, and d sub 2. So my common denominator that I'm going to multiply them all by is f times d sub 1 times d sub 2. Again, this is what will get every single fraction to cancel out. So I'll multiply that by the 1 over f, f d1 d2 times 1 over d sub 1 plus f d1 d2 times 1 over d sub 2. Okay, watch what happens. F times d sub 1 times d sub 2 divided by f. My f's cancel, so I'm left with d sub 1 times d sub 2 times my numerator that I didn't touch, so that's times 1. Well, anything times 1 is just itself, so I'll just leave that as d sub 1, d sub 2. Equals f d1 d2 divided by d1. My d1's cancel, so I am left with f times d sub 2 times 1, which just leaves it itself, plus f d1 d2 divided by d2. My d2's cancel, so that leaves me with f times d1. This time, we are left with 2 different terms that have the variable we're solving for, 2 different terms with f. So what we need to do is we need to factor out that f. Use the reverse of the distributive property. That left side will say d sub 1 times d sub 2, but in the right side I'll pull out that f, which leaves me in parentheses with d sub 2 plus d sub 1. So now instead of having 2 separate terms with an f in each of them, I only have one f, which is what I want. That f is not by itself because we're multiplying by this quantity d sub 2 plus d sub 1. So I will divide both sides by the quantity d sub 2 plus d sub 1. On the left, there's not much I can do with that. So that will just stay d sub 1, d sub 2, divided by d sub 2 plus d sub 1, equals, on the right, my d sub 2 plus d sub 1's cancel out, and I'm left with f, which is what I was after. Same thing here. I'm solving for a, which means I want to get all the terms that have an a by themselves on one side of the equal sign. So if you look, I have 3 terms over here. 2 of them have that little a that I'm interested in. The lowercase a is different than a capital A. So I want to move the other term, this plus 2bc, over to the other side. So I will subtract 2bc from both sides. The a and the 2bc are not like terms, so that leaves me with a minus 2bc equals, these cancel out, and I'm left with 2ab plus 2ac. Same idea as the last problem now. Every term on the right has that little a in it that I'm solving for, so I will factor it out, take the reverse of the distributive property. On the left, I'm left with a minus 2bc. On the right, I'll factor out that little a, and I'm left with 2b plus 2c. Even though they also had a common factor of 2, I'm not going to pull that 2 out. I'm only interested in pulling out the variable that I'm solving for. That's what I'm trying to get by itself. Now, the only reason it's not by itself is because we're multiplying by this quantity, 2b plus 2c. I will divide both sides by 2b plus 2c. On the left, not much more I can do with that. Over 2b plus 2c. Over here, those quantities cancel, and I'm left with the variable that I'm solving for, which is that little a. Same thing here. Just follow your steps, follow the procedure. Start off by clearing the fraction, which has a denominator of 3x plus 5. So I'll multiply both sides by that denominator. That gives me 3x plus 5 times y equals 3x plus 5 times 2x minus 3 over 3x plus 5. If I distribute the y, that gives me 3xy plus 5y equals 3x plus 5 divided by 3x plus 5 cancel out, and I'm left with 2x minus 3. I'm solving for x, so I want to get every term that has an x on the left, every term that doesn't have an x on the right. Well, the 2x has an x, but it's on the wrong side, so I'll subtract the 2x from both sides. There's no like terms here, so I'll just leave it as 3xy plus 5y, and then I subtract it off of 2x, equals, over here my 2x's cancel, so I bring down the negative 3. The 5y doesn't have an x, so I need to move him over, so I'll subtract 5y from both sides. Doing that, my 5y's cancel. I have 3xy minus 2x equals negative 3 minus 5y. Not like terms, so that's all I can do with those. Now, I have all my x terms on the left, all my constants on the right. I can factor out an x, bring it outside of parentheses, just the reverse of the distributive property. So I get x times the quantity 3y minus 2 equals negative 3 minus 5y. Finish it off by dividing both sides by what I'm multiplying the x by. In this case, it's 3y minus 2. 3y minus 2. So I'm left with x equals negative 3 minus 5y divided by 3y minus 2. And that is solved for x.